Okay, so welcome to session number 89 or season 5 episode 9 as we go. So tonight we are continuing the story of the characters in the Northern Reaches, tying up some loose ends for Rheddrian before the Great War starts. So tonight we have I'll start with Dominic this time. So, Dominic, introduce yourself and your character.
Hello, I'm Dominic. My character is a human paladin named Eridiv. He is one of those paladins that tries to do the right thing regardless of how problematic it is at the time. He is, primarily a sort of defensive type paladin. Generally doesn't go in for being a murder machine. He's mostly about defending his comrades and healing and things like that. However, having said that though, I have sort of tooled him up so that he can enhance his weapon in lots of different ways. So when he does need to chop something up, it's pretty reasonable at it.
Yeah. That is always useful to have. Next person up we have is Jeremy.
Yes, good evening all. I'm playing Dimitros, the humble peasant boy growing up in rural Trondheim, who has gone somewhat beyond his original beginnings and the expectations of his family, and has gone on to become more of the person he was destined to be. But obviously, always willing to help those with less fortunate than himself along the way.
I'm sure he wants to get just a few more tidbits of information along the way just to help. Next up we have is Martin.
I'm playing a Elven monk. I think the way of the
Kenzai, you said.
Way of the Kenzai, yes. So I think level 10, and I formerly was a halfling, but that's all in the past.
Yeah, except being a halfling is beneath you, height-wise.
Yes.
You're all like full nowadays.
Yeah, you could always just be a stretched halfling. I'm sure no one will notice the difference. Okay, so last we had it, you had saved the soul of the prince and returned it to the king. You have heard through the grapevine that even if the prince is brought back to life, he will no longer be next in line for the throne. Death does take away your right to succeed.
Presumably some cultures, not necessarily all cultures, what about?
Well, being brought back to life isn't well documented for everyone, so they don't make it a special case. But the kings can choose to break succession and give it to someone who has been brought back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone who dies and comes back is considered wrong by a lot of the population. Go, Martin.
Well, can we advocate on his behalf?
You can, but someone who has died is not always well received.
Okay. So that would be a stretch.
It is a stretch, but him going on to the equivalent of Valhalla instead of to Hades would be well received by the population.
But did he die in battle though?
Hey, if he's brought back and then dies in battle, he'll definitely be well looked after, looked for by the people.
The point is, by saving his soul, we've at least given him a better chance of a second afterlife.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few people who will go, "Oh, look, he's back to life, Stab. You've died in battle. Woohoo, you can now go to the great afterlife."
And there's no question about your authority doing your succession plan.
Okay, so last session you had asked the king for some items.
Well, the king offered reward for our valiant service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'd offer reward. And so, for parity, he got himself offered a weapon to help him smite his foes. So it is a crystalline longsword.
Crystalline longsword.
Don't sing too loud. Or too high.
It seems to weigh about the same as a normal longsword, so... But you can partly see through the blade.
Interesting.
Can you detect magic, or?
I don't think I have detect magic.
Okay.
Just waiting for coffee to finish grinding before continuing. And then Trellin was given a treant longbow, made from a real treant.
Oh, okay. Sounds nice.
Well, except the tree.
And Dimitri was given a single sending stone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome.
Well, hey, if he did offer to be in communication with the king if the need arises,
Yeah.
and the only way you can guarantee that is if you have a sending stone.
He said he was available to help out if he was in trouble again.
So each of them has been presented to you by the king.
Thank you, sire. This is truly a magnificent weapon, which I'll use to smite both your enemies and my own.
He says, "May your prayer bring you victory."
I bow and back away from him.
And he presents the bow to Trellin, saying, "A guardian of the forest gave up a limb to grant you this bow."
That's pretty gruesome.
He grew back.
I guess so.
Well, treants don't necessarily only have 4 limbs.
I'm picturing Groot at the handle of Storm Ring or whatever it was.
He's very close to what a treant could be.
Exactly.
And Dimitri was given a black box, saying he'll know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that black box. Is that the one with the button?
Does Dimitri recognise the black box?
He does not, but he can see it. When he opens it, he does see a small little sending stone in it. He's got another one himself.
Yes, that's right. I've got some concerning idea. Hang on. Did this black box about the same size and weight and size as about the whole devastation box?
Not quite. You'd be quite devastated to get one of those, I'm sure.
Well, this is why I was curious that I was doing recognize the start on the box.
Doesn't seem to be a container to hold devastation at bay.
Thank you, right.
But you are invited to a ball and festivities to help celebrate the son either being returned to life or passing on to his next life.
Obviously, be rude to depart before such celebrations. So Dimitri probably halfway out the door. But if others decide that it's important and appropriate things to stay,
Then Dimitri's still put out the door.
then... Well, I'm not saying he'll be heavily involved in any festivities, but he's not any particular way to get anywhere.
Okay, so what does Trollin and Parity want to do?
I'm happy to go into the room, and if there's a place for enjoyment, then deal me in.
Okay, you find that the place has probably about 100 revelers. At least 20 of them calling at battle and running into each other.
Okay.
Most of them with what appears to be a hammer with a short hilt on it, on their chest plate.
I might back off.
There's usually a loud crack of thunder when they hit each other.
That sounds pretty awesome. I just observe that to see if I can figure out what's going on. So does it seem like whatever game they're playing or whatever, like it's got something to do with the hammers that they're wearing?
You think it's more to do with their philosophy, and part of the philosophy is strength through intimidation and force of arms.
Okay.
You see a couple of archers playing shoot the food out of other guests' hands from across the room.
These guys really have a party, aren't they?
I'm sure Joel and John has to, isn't it?
Does Trellin wish to show off his shooting prowess?
Would that be appreciated?
Would Trellin appreciate it?
Well,
You've been asked to stay as a feast and things like that, and obviously it's part of the entertainment.
I'm happy to have a go.
And while you're getting ready to do so, you see a group of one-eyed clerics telling tales. They're all missing their left eye.
And so Dimitri's got checking what the religion roll is. 21 on religion. I'm assuming he recognises followers of, is it Woods?
Well, that's you got Odin, Thor, and
Oh, so I might even guess. That makes a lot more sense. Because I'm thinking there's the orc god group he's one, right, too, isn't he?
he is, yes.
But yes, Odin makes a lot more sense.
Well, Vestland is dedicated in his name.
Yes. Well, the Dimitri will just be sitting back. He'll be happy to listen to the tales of the skulls and the priests, correcting them as necessary, and providing any other advice and information that people around need to hear. Or at least sit long enough for it to listen to, or
So-
be in the same area of.
While you're doing that, what is Parity doing?
Great question. So am I likely to be able to find someone to help me understand more about this sword at this particular time?
Quite possibly. You have all these people of great knowledge. I'm sure you can ask many of them to tell you tales. And I'm sure some of them might even be true.
Excellent. Is there anyone, not engaging in quite as much revelry, who appears to be someone who might be a bit more full of true stories and not necessarily good stories?
Well, you do see someone sitting off to the side by himself, reading what appears to be a book.
That's the sort of person I'm after.
And then you realise it's Drazzle. He's probably the only person there who doesn't go into revelry. But he is quite knowledgeable and does generally help you over your lifetime.
Alright, well, I'll ask him if he's got any idea about this seemingly see-through sword.
Okay. So, while you're doing that, I will go through what each of you are doing as it's all happening. First up, we have... Yep.
What's the name of the king at the moment?
King of Vestland is all I can give you right now until I dig out the details.
That's like report on basic notes for the setting shown on my character sheet, and so I say, well, yeah, for sure, the King of Vestland got the second. But I thought, King who? But I'm happy to go King of Vestland. King of Vestland 1009. Anyway.
Yep. Because most of my notes are for 1000 and then for what happens after the war.
Yeah.
There's very little stuff for the war going on for as long as we've got it.
Yeah, happy with that.
Okay, so
We're likely used to go along, obviously.
we are. So Trellin, you managed to join the group of archers with your bow.
Yeah, cool. I'll,
Each of them has some sort of fancy bow and using just standard arrows from a table to call their shots and basically wreak havoc on the rest of the revelers without actually hitting anyone.
Alright.
Shooting someone would be very bad taste.
Apparently,
Okay.
hitting someone with an arrow is cause to get ejected.
Okay.
And there is a window
Oh.
next to the bay where they eject you from.
Okay. So I'll grab an arrow from the table, and two arrows actually, and line them up.
Okay.
Shoot the flexing off one, but shoot one flexing on his, so you can fire both in directions.
You do see that the arrows are of particularly poor quality, and you believe that's part of the challenge. Any archer can shoot a good arrow, but only an excellent archer can shoot a horrible arrow.
And hey, it gives us something to do with these arrows produced by apprentice flexers.
And by the looks of things, they look to be made from human gut.
Of course they do.
Well, hey, they got to use what they can reuse, and people are probably the most common resource in Vestland at the moment. They generally don't eat it. It's not Soylent Green here. Okay, so you are challenged to pick a target across the room, and basically, for this purpose, is you declare the DC you think you can hit, and then you roll against it. The higher the DC, the more prestige.
Well,
And if you miss it
I'll
by
go
5, you hit someone.
I'll go for DC 20,
Mm-hmm.
which is the same as rolling a 10.
So what are you describing as the object you're aiming at then? DC 20?
Is it?
Half of some unfortunate merchant that thought he was in the royalty as he goes through.
No, I don't think so. I think whatever is out the window.
Just grabbing myself some food and I'll be back at the table in a sec.
No worries.
And you find both those at the same time?
No, I'll fire them consecutively.
This is fine. Okay, so you're picking a DC 20 as your first target.
Yeah.
Give me a roll and see what fabulous thing happens. This is definitely where you don't want to roll a 1.
Do we get any indication as to what sort of DCs the apparent effect of the other targets have been?
Well, some of them have been calling 10, just to basically not end the festivities too early, and some call 30.
Alright, well I got 27, and so what kind of bonus would I receive?
Well, what sort of thing were you targeting?
The window.
So you shot the window and not shooting something out of someone's hand? Like everyone else has been doing?
Okay, I'll shoot for the window, for the shooting something out of someone's hand.
Okay.
Unfortunately, picking someone you recognise or someone you don't recognise.
I'm hearing Jeremy say Dimitri somewhere in there.
He potentially might like the option, but I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are.
No, it will be someone that I recognise, and maybe Dimitri is the way to go.
You really want to shoot something out of Dimitri's hand?
So if you're 27, you hear a great twang as the bow lets flight, and then Dimitri loses his drink that he just picked up to have.
Woohoo!
As it gets stuck to the wall.
Taxi!
Look across in the direction of the apparent archer revelers. Those Drellin claim the shot.
Yeah, I'll claim it.
The other archers readily pat you on the back, saying, "Great shot, you should probably try to get closer to his fingers." Because it's all about, risk and reward. So while that's happening, Dimitri is listening to the stories being told. Can he give me an insight roll?
I certainly can. Whether I can give you a successful insight roll or a worthwhile insight roll will be a different question. Although 21 should be reasonable.
So was there a magical enhancement to this attack and damage rolls?
Well, you did see it stick the mug to the wall.
Okay, your opponents are using good-looking bows, i.e. their personal bows, so presumably you have any enhancements or modifiers for whatever your normal bows you use. You just couldn't have been using the arrow, the horse wallet, which Dimitri let you have. So,
Okay.
it would give you the rolling advantage on any time you use it, and if they both hit, it counts as critical.
That's right. Yeah.
So while Dimitri is listening to the stories, they are telling a roaring tale of how Thor once led them out of the north to this region. Because Thor was obviously one of them and not one of the other clans.
Good. Dimitri's aware that Odin was Troldaran, so...
Well, you know that Odin sponsored Troldarans. You also know that Thor was an ancestor of the Haldanic people, which means he existed before the Haldanic territories and Ostland, Vestland, and the Sodderford Jarldums. So, in that sense, Thor could not have been a Vestlandite.
Well, yes. By the end of it, obviously, Dimitri will make a comment about the fact that, oh yes, a lovely tale, obviously fiction, but great to listen to, well told, well presented.
Okay. I will give you a persuasion roll for that.
I rolled a 14, so I got 13. We all know Dimitri really gets on with people when he gets to talk to them one-on-one.
And so in the middle of you giving this sort of backhand compliment to the teller of the tale, you find your drinking mug get flung out of your hand, stuck to the wall.
Which obviously is probably good for Dimitri at that point, because it means that the backhanded compliment that he gave to the tale teller, the tale teller probably already looks like he's been reprimanded for making such comments. But Dimitri will look across, notice that Krellin played defendants in the shot, and Krellin might find his next shot slightly more difficult.
Okay, and then Parity, as you sit down at the table with Drazzle, you see that he's actually drawn in your sword in the book he's writing, with a bunch of details in Draconic.
Oh, okay. So you seem to already know more about this sword than I do. Any ideas of its origins, or I guess, or why it's seen through?
Well, he turns to you and says, you told me story in future about sword, so I'm writing it now.
Are you writing down what I'm saying right now?
No, he's writing down what you told him in the future right now.
You want to know about sword? Eventually you're the one who told you about sword.
Of course. Excellent. So, if I have to tell you... come on. We're going to get confused in a minute. Great, well, I look forward to telling you more about it when I find out more about it.
Well, you could read what you told me, he said.
Oh, interesting. By all means, can you read it to me if it's written in Draconic? I don't believe I'll be able to read that.
He says, from Parity, this mighty sword is both my boon and my bane.
Unfortunately, he cast it like glass after 2 blows.
It can glow with holy light and smite the darkness.
Nice.
Excellent.
But it can burn non-believers.
Most excellent.
Yes, unless of course you're a non-believer.
I'm hoping to avoid that.
I have yet to find out what the sword believes in.
Well,
I know a bird don't believe it. Unfortunately, I've never had to believe it yet.
Never mind. Yeah, I'm not going to keep messing with timing. Okay, excellent. Well, that's good news. It sounds like exactly the sort of weapon that I need to destroy the darkness.
Well, he also put a beware in there too. Did you want to hear the beware? Drazzle says,
Oh,
because you can't
right,
unhear the beware.
Always all the warnings at the end of the book, we people don't know why about them.
So it's like in an appendix right at the end. Just a list of things written in red. Gotcha.
Does Perity wish to beware now or later?
I might as well beware sooner rather than later.
So down here, Perity said. Yeah, Perity said.
Yeah, I imagine I do.
That once struck, you can't unstrike.
Once struck, you can't unstrike. Interesting.
Did not explain what it meant. Drazzle wrote it down. I'm sure Perity will explain later.
Once I find out, yeah, right. One strike cannot unstrike. Interesting. That sounds reasonable or terrible.
Well, it's not the first time you've had a prediction that you've given yourself through someone who writes from the future. So apparently you're used to someone who can hear your stories that you tell later and then tell it to you earlier, so you know you've actually told the story.
So I need to. So does this imply that later on I need to make sure that I tell him that?
Quite potentially, or you may find that time unravels on you.
Oh, good.
Or you get a headache, one of the two.
Gotcha.
There are always things that can happen.
Alright, I sheath the sword and continue observing these fellas crashing into each other.
Where Dimitri, having heard the tale and given the correction, and then had an issue with his opportunity to take a drink, he's just quietly gotten up and moved off to another area of the banquet hall. If there's if there's any buffet type food or drinks or things like that, effectively go and get another drink and another goblet, bits and pieces. But as part of his random movements, he'll end up somewhat closer to Trallon and the group of archers who are conducting their games. Such that when Trallon's next turn comes up, Dimitri's about 20-30 feet away.
What's standing behind him?
What kind of challenge is that?
Okay, so Dimitri gets to make a will saving throw as he's wisdom saving throw as he's moving over to the buffet table.
25.
Okay, you sense as if someone's trying to ensource you to find a pillar nearby attractive. As you remember that the followers of Loki are welcome in Bestland as well.
Mm-hmm. He's dealt with Loki before.
Yeah, but Loki's a little more with it than most of his clerics.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm assuming that you can't necessarily recognise exactly where that spell has come from.
Give me a perception roll.
A 2 is a bad start. 12.
As you're looking around, you see it's now Trellan's turn, and he seems to be looking in your direction.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes. As Trellin goes to take his shot, what's your DC you aiming for this time?
Well, I'm going to choose something else. Something difficult, but not too risky.
The top of a candle, just taking the top off so it's still lit and stuck to the wall.
That sounds pretty good.
Okay,
What's the DC?
I put that at about 24.
It depends what kind of bonus I get. Currently, I've got a +1, but that wouldn't be enough.
How do you mean a +1?
A +1 longbow.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be enough.
But obviously you've still got all your standard hit bonus.
Well,
You should.
I still wouldn't have enough.
The assumption is you're an expert with the bow, which means if you are, you have you get to add your proficiency twice and your dexterity to the attack roll.
Either way, whatever you're rolling, you've got a slight disadvantage on this particular roll, because as you release the string doesn't actually release.
What the hell? I'm not aiming at you.
He's trying to mess with you like you messed with him.
So Dimitri has cast Mage Hand, which because he's an arcane fixer, he's invisible.
Right.
And he basically just has his Mage Hand mirror your fingers momentarily, and then they just grab the string as it tries to release. And cause it to release just that fraction second later.
So what would you hit normally with your double your proficiency and your dexterity bonus?
Well, with the double proficiency bonus, I would have got 27. But I don't know how the Mage Hand has a role in that.
It's going to be worth either you've got disadvantage on your attack roll, or technically I roll the attack. Using my not skilled with crossbow, but not with longbow.
Okay, so as you fire the bow, you hear an owl come from Dimitri as he's clutching his head. As you're a bit surprised that your Mage Hand was dispelled.
Okay. And so is that one of the traits of the Treant's longbow?
It could be.
Okay.
Maybe he's just not allowed to use spells in here. Maybe someone's stopping him from doing that.
So did Dimitri work out what caused his spell to dispel?
You're not quite sure. Give me a perception roll.
Certainly, Mage Hand is a fairly innate skill for him now.
But is it a combat skill?
It can be used in combat.
Well, no, it's not normally used in combat in the sense it can be used to manipulate tools, like, again, as a arcane fixer, it gets increased manipulation capability with Mage Hand and normal.
As a sense of, if you're in combat and someone drops their weapon, you can drag the weapon away from them, so you can technically use it in a combat situation.
So perception plus 10, 23.
Okay. As you look in the room, you see one of the priests with the hammer on his chest looking at you sternly. There's no magic!
How far away is he from me?
About 20 feet.
Yeah. I will go up to him and say, well, what do you mean no magic? Others have already attempted to use magic this evening on me.
Just point them out and I shall smite them.
It's all in fun. All just a game.
Yes, but magic trickery is the work of Loki.
Oh, as I said, all in fun, all just a game.
And as a priest of Thor, we smite Lokeites. Are you a Lokiite?
I am definitely not a follower of Loki. As a true scion, as Hallowed himself.
Oh, the red-haired one.
Who himself was a scion of Odin.
He knows.
And a certain vampire on a different branch of the family tree will make it the backside of the house.
We don't get much vampires here. Too much wood.
No, that's right. It's not need to be cracked off at all.
Hey, I'm sure you'd realise he probably has no idea about vampires. But if you asked him about trolls, you could probably describe them in detail.
It's not like Dimitri likes to talk about that kind of family tree, so I'm not going to bring it up.
Well, everyone's got a dark secret somewhere.
Despite the fact that technically referring to Hallowed as being a scion of Odin actually puts Kratos in that same family tree we're discussing, but...
It does.
But it's a different branch when we get past Hallowed, going back towards Odin and get back towards Kratos.
So he gives you a punch in the arm as commiseration. You sure that's going to bruise for a few days?
Well, okay. Depending on what his spell activated on, he was dispelling the spell, but I cast this mage hand. Technically, I still have my arcane ward up there, so put that up every day, along with mage armor, so can never be too safe around places.
You do feel it.
Okay.
Didn't take any hit points, but you felt it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Parity, you're sitting there, you've just put your sword away, and you realise that one of the windows, glass windows at the back of the throne area seems to have the sword in the window.
How curious. Alright, I approach the window. Is anyone standing near it?
There's quite a lot of people around. Very few people look at it. And as you walk closer, you see that the person holding the sword appears to be a kobold.
I see.
In shining armour.
But is it just in glass rather than an actual kobold?
It's a stained glass window that depicts a kobold holding the same sword you've got in shining armour.
Right.
It's probably not a strange sword, they just had some yellow glass left over.
You sort of cut in and out there again. Could you start again? Again, you cut out.
Yeah, you're not really coming through clear yet.
That's bizarre.
Oh, we got you now, clear.
Clear now.
You're back.
So strange. Like I'm literally not doing anything differently. Anyway, I approached that priest who was ruining everyone's fun before, and I asked him if he knows anything about the depictions on any of the stained glass windows.
He does. He knows quite a few of them. Which one in particular do you wish to know about? He says he can tell you one tonight.
Oh, this one with the handsome kobold.
Oh, it's a old story about one of the kobold heroes known as the Shining One, who would hold aloft a crystalline sword and smite all those who opposed him.
And do you know what may have happened to this sword?
Well, he apparently went on to become a god, so he may have taken it with him.
How curious. Do you know what it is? Do you know where I'll be able to find out more of this story of this kobold? Well, did he have a name?
They called him the Shining One. We never actually got his name.
Shining One. Oh, interesting. Would there be books available to find out more about the Shining One?
Possibly if you speak to the dragons or the kobolds. One of them might know. But it is old legends that have been passed down over the last 200-300 years at least.
Okay, so the details might be hazy at this point. Interesting. Okay.
Well, gods generally don't like their origin story known.
What's that, sorry?
Gods generally don't like their origin story to be too well known.
Of course. All right. Well, that's something to note that I need to investigate further. Are there many kobolds in this region?
There are quite a few. Though most of them can be found in the southern mountains.
Okay, I know that. I mean, as far as I understand, kobolds are, about as varied as other races, insofar as there can be some quite sort of like well-functioning kobold societies, and then some quite violent and warlike kobolds. What sort of kobolds live in these areas?
Well, he says the one you're probably looking for is not far from Lansfjord, to the south of it actually, and it's in the mountains there. Beware the giants, because they don't like people traipsing through their region. But the kobolds there are said to have conquered a gnomish settlement.
I see. Okay.
And considering gnomes are pretty tricksy, a group of kobolds managing to defeat gnomes means they're probably tricksier. You're not sure if trickster is an actual word or not, but
that's quite interesting because, well, I mean, two of my comrades who are with me tonight, they're both pretty tricky as well.
But are they tricksier than a kobold?
I don't know, I think they are.
Well, they are reputed to be the best trap makers outside of gnomes.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, I'm writing that all down on my to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
I think the priest is on. Right, and I'll let him go back to enforcing the rules.
He gives you a big chest bump.
Excellent. I returned the big chest bump.
You both feel the blessings of Thor upon you, They feel that you could probably down a couple more drinks without having to worry about being tipsy.
Alright, well, I give that a whirl then. And I tip the cup upside down and put it on my head after each one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, give me an acrobatics check.
Gotcha. 17.
17, you managed to get at least 4 mugs up there before it starts to teeter and fall.
Good one.
Unfortunately, you start teetering and falling after 3.
I'm resting them on my head, but my head is resting on the floor.
Less distance to fall. Okay, so Trellin, after shooting your 2 arrows, you are congratulated for your ability to hit the target.
No worries. So I have a question about. So my flame tongue longsword, does that also have the expert's double proficiency plus dexterity or not?
It's still a longbow as far as you're concerned.
Well, the longsword he's talking about, not the longbow.
Oh, longsword, sorry.
Potentially, because you can technically have at least 2 at this level at the expert level.
Okay, I'll do that.
It does show.
Yeah, go ahead.
It does show specialization, and what it does do is give you at expert 2 extra dice of damage.
No worries.
When you were saying flame tongue, I was thinking the longbow. I thought, so what you should be doing is going out and lighting candles.
2 extra. That's a shitload.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah.
The idea is combats are short and brutal, no matter what level you are.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm glad I have the ring of evasion.
Because the bad guys get the same boosts.
Yeah.
And that would be the same for parity.
Do them first.
So that'd be the same with parity. Your sword would most likely be expert proficiency, giving you the ability to add your proficiency twice and add 2 extra dice of damage to every time you strike with it.
Oh, excellent. Oh, okay, great. Thanks.
But we'll go into most of how the rest of it works later. That's just the basics of what you need to know for combat.
Thank you. That's all I had to ask about.
And examining things, you do see that the arrows you will fire have fused to the wall.
Okay.
They actually feel like they're...
Can I get up close?
You can, yes.
How does this happen?
You have no idea.
Okay.
But your shots have basically become the equivalent of handholds.
Right.
Which may come in handy.
The real question is how often they play this game and how pockmarked the wall filled with arrows.
There are
and other random decoration items.
There are scratches here and there. There are things stuck to the rafters, but very few things are stuck to the wall.
So if I attune to the Treants longbow instead of the longbow of venom, do I get any advantage from that?
You may. That you'll have to find out later.
Okay.
Because most of these things happen over time. But
Yes.
the warning with all attunements are if the item is cursed, you cannot unattune it afterwards without assistance.
Well, I'm sure the Treants longbow is there's no penalty there.
I don't know about that. Based on the description of the glass longsword,
Yes.
that background potentially cursed. On the idea of the statement of once hidden can't be unhit. Potentially implies once hit can't stop hitting till it's dead.
Yeah.
We shall find out what Parity thinks of it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
How many years into the future will be determined by Parity.
And how long it takes for him to build the courage to ask Dimitri for a remove curse.
Hey, it's always nice to give some of the story into the players to figure out when they want it to happen.
Exactly.
So yes, the night of festivities seems to wind down not long after that. As much drinking has been had and much celebration happened.
Dimitri will continue to actually look out for possible Loki cleric that might have been the one that attempted to ensorcel him.
Yeah, I'll give him a perception roll.
Yeah, 22.
He notices a trio of women staring at him intently. Nothing suspicious about that whatsoever.
Well, particularly not after just killing off a hag who presumably had at least 2 others in the coven. He'll double check and make sure they're not sharing one eye between them.
Okay, give me another perception roll.
13.
You can't see them anymore. Someone walked between you and then they were gone.
Right.
Not suspicious at all.
No. Hey. Perfectly understandable. Women be all over Dimitri.
Though Dimitri's left eye is suddenly itchy for no particular reason.
Dimitri will do the absent scratch on the back of the neck type stuff. Before registering the fact that, hang on, why am I itchy?
And there's lots of calm coming into the room as the rowdiness dies down, the fires are sort of soothed, so they're just turning into coals instead of flame. And people seem to be heading back to their rooms. Being in the middle of summer, it is nice to get a bit of relief from the heat of the outside and inside at the same time.
Oh, that's right. Certainly, yeah. So that's all things. Well, Dimitri's not seeing a necessity for an early start. We've got no specific destination that we need to get to by a certain time. However, I'm guessing that we will aim to head towards the docks, assuming he's got a message from Captain Petrov that if he's actually at Destin at the moment, or sorry, Norvik, or is he still coming?
He's still heading down. You had actually, didn't he drop you off?
Well, he dropped us off at Norvik,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know whether or not he was waiting there because he dropped us off when we were going for the Dark Lady.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
I'll
I'd probably say he's out at Slaughterfield now at the moment, making deliveries,
okay.
which is the other red city on the map.
Yeah.
So you're up there,
Yeah.
and
Right.
the other one's down there.
Well, obviously, after we'd saved the police type stuff before the festivities began, Dimitri would have been in contact with Captain Petrov and just asked him where he was at, what his options were for coming to collect from Norvik, And if he's available, how long it might be before he got here.
Well, he's got a shipment of weapons for Hiatus. He doesn't recommend you being on the boat for that shipment, but he can come back for you after that, because able-bodied people are currently being shanghaied into the army who don't appear to be sailors. Currently, most of his people are well known by the shippers as very poor fighters, so they're not trying to Shanghai them into the army.
Yeah. Yes. They had to work hard to appear so bad at fighting.
Yes, they had to. He had to bribe his crew to lose fights.
Well, I guess the decision or question with the others would be that saying, so, well, okay, we potentially got a couple of weeks in Norvik before the ship can pick us up again. Did we want to stay around waiting for the ship, or did we want to start making our own way down towards Castellan as the nearest night within?
Be about 19 days.
Either by getting on a ship that might take us to probably Sodaford, or overland. Do people have any thoughts on that as to where I want to get immediately?
No.
No, not specifically. I mean, like I at some point I want to investigate, and try to talk to these kobolds. So that can be something that's done at another time.
So the kobolds were. Where did they find out the kobolds were?
The kobolds were south of Landisfjord, which is halfway to your destination. Well, probably about a third of the way to your destination.
So we're going to come back this way.
Considering if you were to go directly to there, you'd basically follow the road down to Castellan.
Yeah, unless we were getting on a boat and going by Sodaford, but yes, I see what I'm talking about now, but yes, part of in that land that might be somewhat disputed as to whether it's Rockholm or Northlands.
Yep.
Particularly by the kobolds.
The kobolds believe it's neither.
That's right. Well, I guess that means that before the festivities of the evening, we were probably thinking we'd go down to the docks and get a boat to Sodaford in the morning or on the next day.
Mm-hmm.
If Dominic, I heard you mentioning that, hang on, based on what I heard last night, it'd be good to actually go down to Landisford to actually look for kobolds. Then, well, Dimitri could easily talk into that because he has no additional plans or necessity. But it just becomes a question of whether it's faster to go via land or trying to get a ship to land.
Yeah, if there's any sort of time constraints on us getting where else we're going, then I'm happy to put this off.
Well, it's actually something that potentially Trellin would want to contact Rheddrian and let him know that, hey, we've looked into the Dark Lady, the house in the middle of nowhere, and the trolls of...
But how do I get that information to Rheddrian?
Haven't you got the staff?
I've got the staff, but do I just talk into it, or what's the deal?
Well, in fact, you can use the staff to contact Rheddrian. Whether he's actually happy to answer at Rheddrian's call, different.
All right.
But effectively, the staff can act as like sending stones.
Okay, nice. So I'll do that.
Yep.
And then, yeah, if Rheddrian does not have a specific need for anyone to be anywhere particular in the immediate future, then there's no reason why we couldn't go take the somewhat senior group back to Darrakan via the mountains of southern Westland.
Okay, so you managed to get in touch with Rheddrian. He asks how your quest has gone.
So far, we have dealt with the coastal people, and it's a success. Beyond that, what other suggestions do you have?
Well, he
Right,
said,
so as far as the report goes to Rheddrian, you probably want to mention the fact that we've spoken briefly to the trolls of Westland, and they're definitely isolationist and apparently not causing problems in the eastern or central parts of Westland anymore because of the influence of the Dark Lady that we don't. I think I've already previously reported on the Dark Lady to Rheddrian. Because I'm guessing we probably reported to Rheddrian before we actually started the Prince of saving the Prince of Souls, didn't we?
I believe you did.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so you don't even talk about that kind of stuff, but then but you probably mentioned the fact that, well, yes,
We can give that a tick.
King of Westland is probably, owes a favour.
It's always good to have a favour.
Yes.
And then, find out whether he's got specific things that he would like investigated up this way, or whether he needs people in other areas.
Well, he
sort of left their own devices for a little while.
He recommends returning to Darrakan City because he needs some preparation and help for the getting the military prepared to stop the Master.
Is he implying that he wants people back as soon as possible?
He says as soon as you can make it, he would appreciate it because he doesn't know how much time they've got.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And the last thing you want to do is show up too late.
Well, if you're late for a war, then you don't have to worry about getting killed in it.
There is that, but you also...
You might have to deal with the aftermath of the fact that your side lost because you were late for the war, but... in which case then, assuming that Bellamy is making contact with Rheddrian while the rest of the party is in the vicinity, it can either hear the conversation or provide input as necessary. Dimitri will suggest do some quick calculations in his head as to how long it's likely to take to get by a boat from Norvik down to Sodaford or Blackwater, and then take the Mast Road to Castellan versus going overland all the way. And
overland to Castellan would take you about 19 days. To actually go any other way would probably take you about 2 to 3 months.
Alright, overland it is.
I would have thought getting on a boat between Westland and Sodaford would have been somewhat fast, or Norfolk and Sodaford would have been quite quick, but obviously people with the boats available. But.
Okay, so in comparison, okay, that page isn't there at the moment, which doesn't help. Your Gazetta. Okay, Jeremy. So you're currently up in this area up here.
Yeah.
You have to take the boat all the way down here. All the
No,
way.
because all I'm looking at is a boat to go to Sodaford, like still in the Northlands,
Oh, that might take.
and then you're going a lot less overland travel.
So it'll probably take you a few. It might take you less days, or it might take you more depending on winds.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy that we'll let Rheddrians know that we would expect to get there in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
During the weeks are 7-day weeks at the moment, aren't they?
The weeks are 7-day weeks.
And it's 4 weeks to a month, isn't it?
4 weeks to a month and 12 months to a year.
Yeah. So Demetri will suggest to Carl and say, yeah, okay. Let him know we'll be there. We should be there within the month.
No worries.
Which technically, if we go overland, then gives a few days grace period if you want to go hunting for the mountains.
Yeah, interesting things happen when you go into the mountains.
Well, obviously, you find kobolds who are more than willing to tell you about their personal sword that somehow you managed to steal.
I'm sure they'd have no problem telling you all about the sword that you've stolen.
Okay. Whilst they've got you hung up in the dungeons and they're using that sword to slowly peel off your skin.
Well, if that's how they impart wisdom on people, then why should I pass judgment on that particular method of learning?
It's a lesson you'll never forget.
Exactly. I won't need any more lessons after that.
Right, it could be worse. Could always be worse.
So yes, in that case then, the following morning, not trying to necessarily get away early by any stretch of imagination. Okay, some people might have some sore heads. If you have to balancing cups on the top of them. We will collect our mounts and the other members of the party and start on the road to Hager's Forge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think, where was the Dark Lady actually located?
Dark Lady was located to the north.
She was to the north of yeah.
Yep. She's where there's only a trail, not a road.
Yeah. Oh yes, that's why we're going down. Happy with that. And yeah. We will make our way with some urgency, but certainly not trying to push things hard or anything like that. Down the overland track, or the overland trade route, I should say, and head towards, eventually, Castellan.
Okay.
Happy to deal with any issues, adventures, random encounters, or things like that might pop up on the way.
Is my Treant's longbow causing me any issues?
It does not appear to be causing you any issues at this stage.
Okay.
You've certainly got time to be practicing with it on the road on the way down.
Okay.
It's valuable and better or more useful than your venom, your longbow venom.
You do feel it's more accurate than your longbow of venom?
Okay.
Obviously, part of the process, you've got the time to attune it in that sort of sense.
Yeah.
Is Imperative attuning to his new longsword and playing with it on the way down as well?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't really understand this concept of attuning.
So when you attune
It's
something,
just,
you get more power out of the item you're attuning.
Like, you can only attune a limited number of magical items.
Okay.
Now, any magical item will have some bonus or some effect, whether or not you attune to it. But if you attune to it, you get more value from it.
Right.
And other people generally can't use it if you're attuned to it.
Okay. And obviously the other flip side is that, well, if it's cursed, once you're attuned to it, you can't easily unattune. But if it's as long as it's not cursed, you can attune to items. You can change the attunement every day. If you've got multiple items, if you've got more items than you can attune naturally, you can choose which items you've attuned to each morning. So,
Okay. And is there some sort of process that I have to go through in order to become a genius or something?
It takes half an hour.
Yeah, you do during a short rest, basically.
Which is an hour normally.
Effectively, yes. It's part of your morning rituals and routines.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Attune items that might, some items can effectively remain attuned all the time. Others you've got to reattune each morning.
And if you haven't unattuned the item, it's considered attuned until you say otherwise.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not something
you've certainly got the opportunity over the next 3 weeks that you can attune to the glass sword, do some effective practice caster with it and find out whether it feels better or worse. And hey, if we have any combat or activity during the trip, then you've got time to test it out. And if it's not something you're happy with, you can always attune back to, I presume you had a previous basic weapon you were using.
Well, I'm quite concerned about what is it? Drazzle? Is that his name?
Drazzle, yes.
Yeah, Drazzle told me earlier because.
What you told you?
Yeah, sorry. What I told him tomorrow or whatever. About it's really good for hitting, but once you start hitting, you can't stop hitting, or something along those lines. Great for smiting, but once you start swatting, hard to unsmite. Something like that.
Yeah, so once you hit, you cannot unhit, I think was the word.
One strike, cannot unstrike.
Yes. And that concerns me. So.
Well, do you want Dimitri to have a look at the sword before you actually start playing with it too much?
Oh yeah, I mean, are you capable of detecting magic on it?
Actually, he has demonstrated arcane capability. Obviously, he doesn't flaunt it, because that's not his style.
Exactly.
I haven't chosen to text good and evil. That's what I should have used. That's what should have happened.
You mean on Dimitri or the sword?
I think the answer there is yes.
Yeah. All right. I ask you to have a look at it. I asked him to have a look at it, see whether he can determine whether I should be concerned about attuning to it or not.
Dimitri will. I'm assuming we'll do it at either. Well, I expect there's probably enough inns along the road, the road south, that we're not actually required to camp at any point, or is it the sort of thing that there's effectively only at the towns?
There would be inns along the way at the halfway points or at the nightly stops.
Yeah. So Dimitri would be happy to spend one of the evenings at the local taverns where he stops for the night to examine the sword and determine what sort of things can be determined from it before someone actually attunes.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to prevent it from being a definitely cursed item, but that makes sense. Surely the king, after you've given such service...
Sure, I just... Yeah.
It's not like he wanted to try and get it out of his treasury that has been stuck there for so long.
Of course.
They look like hardy adventurers. I'm sure they can take this really nasty sword with them.
So Dimitri will do the appropriate detect magics, identify rituals, all that sort of thing, on one of the evenings to work out what sort of things have you known about this sword? In that sort of sense.
Okay, the sword comes up as a very rare sword.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, it's not like that many swords get made of glass. Presumably, it's potentially got an element of some glass steel type spell upon it, or permanent spell effect. Or you can determine exactly what the composition of the crystal is.
Well, you're looking at it, it appears to be made out of some sort of diamond.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least mimics as if it's made out of diamond.
It's as hard as, yep.
Just
And you determine what its properties are.
Okay, so you do figure out that if someone is attuned to it, they can see through the blade and see more than they can normally see.
oh, okay. So I can sort of use it as like a, like I don't know, like a. It's like by looking through the blade, it has like detect whatever.
I don't know. You just Sherlock Holmes, you just magnify glass.
Perfect.
But yeah, so the idea of potentially seeing through illusions and things like that sort of stuff that we're looking at.
It doesn't actually tell you, which is puzzling. It's basically something that gives you sight where you don't have sight.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay.
Do I get an indication exactly how powerful the base properties of the sword is?
Well, at very rare, it makes it quite powerful.
It would be expected to be certainly powerful, yes. Okay, well, I will let Perkin know that, yes,
Alright.
it is a sword of certainly great antiquity, great value, not just in its time of manufacture, and that I don't know what sword he's been using previously and how much time Dimitri might have had a similar sword he used previously, but would be confidently saying that it is likely an improvement on the piece of steel that we're currently wielding.
We expect the item to be valued at about 30,000 gold pieces.
Alright.
Nice.
Alright, I go straight to the closest shop.
No!
No, alright. Next opportunity I have, I attempt to attune to it.
Mm-hmm. And you have no problems attuning or unattuning it during your travels.
Okay, oh, well, that's good news.
So it's not actually immediately cursed. Not just after you fight at once, maybe.
It's cursed in a really tricky way that I'll find out later on.
Some curses are based on using powers or attacking certain things.
That's right, yes. So, most curses will activate attuning to attune to it, but some of them, they wait till you actually get lying in the false security.
It could be the first
That's
time
like
you strike
Ego's
something.
song. What was that, sorry?
It could be the first time you strike something, you're cursed.
Especially if it turns out to be kobold.
No paranoia whatsoever. And then 4 days after leaving Norvik, you end up in Landisfjord, which is a rather thriving town on the edge of the mountains.
Mm-hmm. Having gone through Haverford and Eagle.
Yep.
Is Krallen using his Treant longbow as his standard weapon now? He's attuned and play with it?
I'd like to be using it.
You have no problems attuning to it.
Is there any added advantage to using it?
Well, you do realise that you can potentially pin people in place when you hit them with it.
Okay, cool.
Yes, as in things get stuck to the wall. Permanently.
That's alright. I can shoot someone and then run up to them and smash them with my flame tongue.
So you also realise that every arrow you fire basically turns to stone.
Okay.
It would be interesting to see what the effect would be if you use the unbreakable arrow from the horse hooks.
Yes.
We'll find out which one's the immovable object and which one's the irresistible force.
Well, it depends on if he's attuned to both.
True.
Okay, reaching Landisfjord, you see that above the gate is a depiction of the sword as part of the heraldry. Which does look the same as Paraty's new sword.
Is Paraty proudly presenting his king of the city?
Sorry, hang on. So where have we got to?
Landisfjord.
We're about a third of the way, well, maybe not quite a third of the total we're going to do, but basically we're in another town. We're still in Bestland.
Yeah.
We're in one of the southern large towns of Bestland.
The
Capital a few days ago.
is it on the map?
It is on the map.
It's on the map that Martin's got in front of, on his screen.
Yeah.
So we're in the, Martin probably pointed out.
You can see if you can see a little white moving thing over.
Okay, where it landed. Okay. Alright, so
And we come from Norvik, which is just off the map to the north.
yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, great.
So I'll restock all my provisions.
Mm-hmm.
So are we just going to continue on down this path? Is that the plan?
Well, we've got, the intent is we're continuing to walk along the road to get down. We've got further down south is our eventual destination, about probably 2 weeks away now. But yeah, Martin's suggesting that what made Landisfjord a bit more interesting for us compared to Haverhold and Hebel would be true is as you coming up to the town, you see the town gates in the heraldry of this particular town.
Oh, it's got my sword.
Have your sword as part of the town heraldry.
Interesting. Alright, well, probably best not to reveal what's in my possession just yet, I guess. So the gates are open. Can we enter?
The gates are open. They welcome travellers. Though in Hedel, above, you did stop at a gnomish inn of some interest, but you're pressing on to head to Landisfjord looking for information about your sword at the time.
Okay. Alright, after entering the town, is it, can I see any sort of either official buildings or,
You can see the
like-
town hall, which is where the mayor, Jarl, lives. They're sort of the same thing, but they're also the same thing as noble. Jarl means many things for these people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I say to the others, I'm thinking I'm going to try to elicit some more information about, why imagery of this sword keeps cropping up. Because I don't know whether to be really concerned about that or not.
Well, I mean, presumably, the fact that you got gifted this sword by the King of Vestland is hardly secret knowledge. Because the king presented it during a big ceremony with lots of people around in his entire court assembled.
He did.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's certainly known amongst, well, obviously it hasn't necessarily spread as far as Landisford, that particular ceremony, but you've got the option of, if you are happy to admit you're holding the sword, then you've certainly got reason and justifiable consideration within Vestland as to why you've got it. So it's probably relatively safe, depending on how many kobolds around Landisford.
Kobolds are considered nuisance people in the northern reaches, so you do know that you won't find many of them in town of prominence. If anything, they would be slaves.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm still not going to draw the sword and wave it around at anyone, but I'm going to head to the town hall, and see if there's any. I guess I'm sort of looking for historians or like town records, like some information, any information I can get my hands on about the importance of the sword to this town as well, because it seems like it's worth displaying on the gate. So there must have some sort of importance or relevance to the history of the town.
Sitting in the shade of the town hall, you see old man with long beard and a staff, very similar to some of the storytellers you saw in the King's Hold in Norvik, and you understand that they don't really have a lot of records. They normally pass everything orally.
Okay. Alright, I approach the old man.
Mm-hmm.
Say, oh shit. What would they refer to, I don't know, like, wise men as around here?
Wise man, sage, honoured elder.
Okay. Alright, yeah. Alright, I approach him and say, good morning, good morning, or good afternoon, whatever it is. Elder, I come in search of information about a relic that I have come into possession of. Do you know much about the history of the town?
He knows much of the history of the town and the symbology of the place. He has had it passed down from his master and his master before, and his master's master. For many generations.
Alright, well, I say to him, I have in my possession an item that I was recently gifted by, what was the king's name?
The King of Vestland.
The King of Rheddrians. And I am hesitant to reveal the fact that I have this in my possession, but I'm also hungry to know more about it. And I draw the sword and I say,
just tell him, it appears to be a remarkable resemblance to the emblem of the town.
Sure.
He says the sword in question, the crystalline sword, was taken by the founder of Landisfjord in battle from the kobolds, defeating their champion many years ago, and has since been gifted to the king as payment for earning the right to claim the region of Landisfjord as part of our domain.
Interesting. Okay.
Though we only have along the river and the areas around it, but it's still a major win for the people to have defeated the kobolds in open conflict.
Okay. Alright, that tells me a lot of what I wish to know. Well,
so does that make you ruler of Landisfjord now?
I guess that makes me realise that the king's actually entrusted me with something not just powerful but very symbolic as well, which is quite interesting.
Well, it seems to mean more to the kobolds than it does the Norsemen, whereas the Norsemen have taken the symbol of their fallen enemy and turned it into their town heraldry.
Yeah, right. Okay. Alright, well, I'm glad that I spoke to someone else, not the kobolds, about it first.
And he does say the sword is reputed to be powerful enough to destroy the darkness.
This is something that I've had explained to me by others, and I am curious to find out exactly the meaning of that.
It is believed that the Shining One stood up to the great goddess Nyx, the dark goddess, and held her at bay while he was mortal.
Well, that is something. That is definitely something.
As she was unable to approach in the light of the sword.
Yeah, okay. Alright, well, that sounds like something that's going to come in handy. Alright, well, I thank the elder for his wisdom and his
He does say that many other people who witnessed it were blinded by the incident permanently.
alright, that's something to be wary of as well.
As in, those who are struck cannot be unstruck.
Yes. Yes.
As the last vision they had was of the sword repelling the darkness.
Okay.
It is unsure whether it was the sword that penalized them or the darkness.
Alright.
But not something you can really experiment with, he says.
No. No, you'll know when you know. Alright, yeah, I thank him for his finding his knowledge.
He does say that there is reputed to be only one way to break the sword, but none have discovered it.
Okay.
The Jarl of Landersfield at the time was going to break the sword and give parts of it to his kids, but was unable to do so.
Did they ask Dimitri to sing?
What the hell?
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm glad to hear that Percy is getting an understanding of Dimitri's power and capabilities.
His ability to sing in resonance with all the materials as well. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you just broke up at the end there.
Yeah, he don't know if I can lose connection to the microphone or something like that. But.
He may also be the... Yeah, you're coming back again now.
Yeah.
Sounds as if you're basically had your voice computerized right now. Okay, it seems to have cleared up. Try again, please.
Alright, yeah, I'm going to try to find the others and let them know I've got the information that I want.
Okay, that came through perfectly clear. And you find Dimitri standing somewhere nearby listening in, I'm sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Dimitri would be happy to have helped you go through the town records and things like that. Because, hey, he is say it's his skill set.
And not true.
When the town records are held by in the brain of a person, he's probably less skilled at actually extracting that information.
So it looks like you fill a much needed hole in the party. You're Mr. Talkie.
Well, Mr. Talkie with advantage and purpose rather than Mr. Talkie as in telling them what to do.
Next, well, so we'll just thank you for the night then.
Now, you have no trouble finding a nice place to stay for the night. It is a decent...
I don't need to sleep, but I can just sit there.
You can be up all night reveling and partying with the youngsters.
No, I have to go into a semi-conscious state.
So that's what partying with the youngsters is like? Here, try these mushrooms. Sure. What can go wrong?
No, a semi-conscious state. Just
what
so
me-
I'm assuming then that Penitive does not have any particular need or desire to travel randomly into the southern mountains to try and find kobolds to talk to him about the sword?
No, I think I've got as much information as I need about that, and instead of wanting to find kobolds, now I realise that I need to avoid them, more or less at all costs.
You do get one last thing from the sage before you go. He says there is a local legend that a kobold in shining armor will slay the bearer of the sword to take it back, and the kobolds will rise up and claim the region.
Oh, let's get
Get
it out
the
of here.
sword out of here,
So
ASAP.
the real reason the kid wanted to get the sword out of Bestland.
I'm just lucky number one. The king's number one stooge.
Well, paladins are the best source of giving interesting tasks to.
Or offload these things, they don't provide anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so we shall spend an enjoyable evening in Landsford and then aim to continue on down the overland trade route to eventually to Goodholm. Doesn't look like there's particular townships along the way that we stop at, but
There would
surely
be
there's
inns every
halfway
day's travel,
houses, things like that, yeah.
as it is a major overland trade route.
Indeed.
So it is rather uneventful, though they do warn of the Witch of the Great Marsh. Apparently she has a sister in Norvik.
Oh, jeez.
Not anymore. Or at least, well, she might still have a sister in Norvik.
We could be haunted by the sister, but whatever.
And they say it's very unlikely to come across the witch, but if you do see lights out off the road, don't follow. Very few people who leave the road ever come back.
Surely everyone will be aware to avoid the temptations of following the lanterns and will-o-wisps.
They say it's not will-o-wisps. There is many demented things in the swamp, and they wish will-o-wisp was the worst of it. Ever since the dragons left the region, the place has really gone to the Fae.
Let's face it, whether random lights off the track in the marshlands are called by will-o-wisp or something else, the end result is the same thing. Straight on the path.
Well, you also get regaled by many tales of people who left the trail and could never find it again before they died of thirst and starvation in the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
Because drinking the swamp water doesn't help you.
Yeah. I'm assuming that part of these tales and descriptions that we get are not necessarily only halfway houses, but I'm guessing that there's enough traffic on the road that we will be spending some of the time walking along with other people or talking along with other people and things like that, at least until they can't put up with Dimitri any longer and they i.e. out there.
So, with my tree ants longbow,
Yep.
Are they magical arrows?
Well, the arrows will be treated as magic when they hit something, yes.
Okay, no worries.
Which is partly why they also turn to stone.
Yes.
don't you turn the targets exploded at the same time?
Potentially.
We'll find out.
You think if you kill it...
The arrows of execution, that's pretty powerful.
So I've got a 600-foot range,
Mm-hmm.
and it ignores 3/4 of cover.
Ignores 3/4 of cover.
Oh, yeah, that's your skill of the long
Because
though.
I've got the sharpshooter feat.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're probably also interested in exactly what the effective bonus of the weapon is.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, so firing the bow, you do realize that you seem to be able to hit things easily within 200 feet, and you can target things out to 700 feet.
Okay, that's nice. So that's still ignoring the 3/4 cover.
That's your extra ability to do that. So you've
Yeah.
got so it's a disadvantage between 200 and 700.
Which is the normal, like in the sense that if anything you're shooting at long range, you don't really get a disadvantage. But the idea is that the actual base range of this weapon is longer than a standard longbow, but you then also extend it a bit because of your skill with longbows.
Well, the first dot point of this is attacking at long range doesn't impose disadvantage
Okay,
on your ranged weapon attack.
Yeah, that still applies. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that still applies. So that means that you don't get disadvantage out to 700 feet.
Okay, cool.
And because of that, you realize that your bow is, from a mechanical perspective, a +2 weapon. And instead of doing plus 2 dice damage, it does plus 4 dice damage.
Thank you.
and the next shooter, they get extra fire.
That's right.
And it seems anything you reduce to 0 hit points is petrified.
Okay.
Hey, I'd be scared too if shooting at me from 700 feet and still hitting.
Well, I want to be able to shoot from the road. But, so 700 feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to give you a decent range.
Which is not a minor thing to have on a sword, on a longbow.
Oh.
No.
And considering treants have ability with stone, it's understandable why it can actually affect stone.
Okay.
Well, treants were known to be the masters of manipulating stone. Okay, so you find yourself out to Castellion pretty quickly. It is 15 days from Landfield that you reach there.
Mm-hmm.
And while you felt watched along the Great Marsh Road, you think you're managing to travel with at least 1 or 2 caravans had kept you unmolested along the way.
But more importantly, you get the caravans guarded.
Well, with great heroes travelling with them, of course they're safer.
That's right. Again,
So
we
you
were
mean
generously providing our services almost gratis.
so as there's no actual rest stops in the marsh itself, travelling with the caravans gave you places to sleep at night.
Yep.
As you're able to be put up in caravans when not on watch.
Nice.
So reaching Castellion, you find yourself in as summer's. I believe summer's at its height this month.
Mm-hmm.
So just coming to the hottest moon of the year is due in a couple of days.
And it's certainly been about a year and a half or so since the events of it was this party, wasn't it, that came to Castell and got the devastation all?
It was Tuesday's party. So wrong party.
Sorry, yes, that's right. I was thinking it was because we had the orb to then take Alphasia and burn it up, but that's because Drazil passed it to himself. That's right. Yeah. Because I feel like it was Penalty or Dracula who was there, but
He was Dracula.
Devastation orb. But yes, that's right. The advantage of having someone in both parties who could hand it to himself. So it's been at least 18 months or so since the events of that time, and it appears that Castellan has certainly recovered from any effects and is
It's a thriving city again, which is no surprise.
still under the influence of Loki.
Always under the influence of Loki.
Yeah.
Loki doesn't care if it gets sacked.
That's right. And then, we will aim for the night driven in, and depending on what time we've arrived, basically let the innkeep know that we would like to arrange a portal through to Darrakan, presumably in the morning, type stuff, like the better convenient places.
He says he can do it after
Well-
daybreak.
Will my Rheddrian staff disappear, or is Darrakan okay?
The portal
Your
network
staff has
from
certainly gone through the portal before.
Okay.
so the
no
portal
worries.
network of the Night River Inns allows you to take items through. You've
Okay.
learnt that if you pass through the equivalent of teleportation circles, you seem to be able to take artifacts with you. But if you just teleport, it leaves them behind.
Okay.
Something about it compressing the two spaces together instead of transporting you through the ether.
Dimitri will explain it all to you if you really want to know.
No, I don't need to know.
He'll explain it anyway.
I'm sure there's a lot of please stop, oh god, please stop. And then Drazil saying, you got that wrong, but not saying which bit you got wrong.
Well, Dimitri will obviously pay no attention to that whatsoever because he can fully understand that you would like the god to stop interrupting while Dimitri's talking to you.
So in the morning, you find yourself back in Darrakan City, which is all the way on the other side of the continent. Well, other side of the region.
It's-
In our world.
My hometown.
And you don't recognize your hometown that much.
How many years has passed?
It's mobilizing for war. You see halflings everywhere. You've never seen this amount of halflings in the city before, and they're all dressed in armor with heavy weapons, and looking like they're quite happy to murder anyone who gets in their way.
Okay.
So the town itself is not changed, like the buildings and structure, just the population appears to be modified.
Well, it's also
Right.
smokier because there's apparently a lot of fires for cooking around to assist the troops on the outskirts of the city.
Don't look too close into exactly what they're cooking. Just close your eyes and enjoy.
Well, the halflings, the pirate halflings, have a reputation for being cannibals.
But I'm saying close your eyes and enjoy.
Which means if they're willing to eat their own halflings, they're more than happy to eat other people.
Right, let's face it, there's more meat on them. But go further.
Okay, so now I have a couple of questions for you that you have reached Darrakan City. What is something that Trellin would love to have received himself? If he could get anything from Rheddrian.
Well, I'd like to somehow be attuned to Rheddrian's quarterstaff.
You would be already, you know.
Well, it doesn't actually require attunement because it's an artifact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Effectively, yeah. The staff itself does not take an attunement slot. Your purposes. So,
Right.
So you would effectively you would be considered attuned.
But all artifacts have drawbacks. Just that I roll them for you without you knowing whether it kicks off or not.
But to be fair, Rheddrian staff being a relatively new god and hey, something that he's created for multiple times, for multiple people, it's probably less drawback because it's in many ways less powerful.
Yeah. So, yeah. For me, yes, I support that. If it's not attunement, then what would it be?
Well,
Effectively you get a free artifact attunement slot. Like in order to get attunement slots equal to tier +2, you're currently 4, about to become 5 attunement slots. But you also get effectively a free artifact attunement. But obviously you can only be attuned to one artifact at a time, because hey, you can only be carrying one artifact at a time.
Okay.
Which is part of the reason why Dimitri just got to have Rheddrian stuff. Could also be related to the fact that Rheddrian really doesn't want Dimitri down talking to him like that. That would completely cut the point.
it's okay, you can think about it.
Okay. But so what would Rheddrian staff be capable of in the future? Is there anything that I'm missing out on by not having it attuned?
Technically, you can't carry it around if it's not attuned. So it's always
Okay.
attuned to you.
I mean, the real question would be whether there's effectively a relic power type stuff that's the step beyond attunement, which is certainly, when you're talking about artifacts, it's certainly not uncommon that they have effectively multiple levels of attunement involved in them. Usually
So
they're
I've got
activated by doing certain specific powers or uses of the item against the natural foe of the god and things like that sort of stuff.
So I've got a note here that says this item has powers such as wind wall, in brackets, this hurts the user to activate. And I would rather not have that. So I don't know if there's a way to avoid that hurting.
Well, again, with artifacts, it's often hard to avoid the negative effects. Sometimes you can do things like in for example, Dimitri currently has a permanent -1 to all of his saving throws
Right.
because of his interactions that he's had with the artifact that he carries, Yam's Diamond, before he realised, hang on, he's got to be more careful about it because of how he uses it. But in theory, Dimitri could undergo certain rituals and or undertake certain arduous activities to effectively remove that penalty, but he hasn't done so as yet. And all artifacts have the potential for those sort of side effects. The more powerful the effect of the artifact you use, the more likelihood you're actually going to come across the negative effects. But in the case of something like Wind Wall and an oath that will hurt the user, that's potentially just going to be a situation of, Wind Wall might repel all the enemies, but you'll take X dice of damage when you use it. But then can be recovered normally.
Well, I guess I don't know what that is.
No, they can't. And if you actually test it,
and your character was warned beforehand, so you haven't used it yet.
Well, can I use it in controlled circumstances, which would be Derek and City?
You could, except you are calling on the god's magic.
It's not necessarily something you actually play around with and test as a general rule.
Okay.
So what that means is a mortal can't dispel it once you create the effect.
Okay.
So if it goes haywire, you can't stop it.
And also, you may not know exactly how long the effect might last for. If you end up putting a permanent wind wall up through the main street of Jericho City, people might get concerned.
Okay.
Basically, the artifacts are there for, okay, I've got this ability. We're stuffed. Let's give it a try and see if it saves our butt.
Help me, God. Help me, Jeebus. And then you find out what happens.
So that's the same with Burning Hands, Fireball, and Wall of Fire. But you figured out just exactly what they do, just not what Wind Wall does to you.
Okay. Alright.
Okay, so
I reckon move on to the next guy.
Dominic, is there something Parity would really love to have? You are currently on mute, by the way.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
What like an item?
Could be an item, could be knowledge, could be other things, because Rheddrian does have access to a lot of research and other capabilities.
Look, I'm not going to say no to a shield to go along with his sword. That would just about make my day. Because I realised that previously in trying to build this, healing defensive paladin that the first thing that he ever asked for was a sword. Didn't necessarily align with my particular character.
Hey, the best form of defense is good offense.
So how does that look for a shield for you?
What's that, sorry?
How does that look for a shield for you?
Up on screen.
It probably doesn't look that fancy.
So that's actually called a knife shield.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, I see that. No, I think,
Because it can be used in offense as well as defense.
Yeah. No, I think just a standard. Yeah, I think just like a standard big circular shield.
Well, there's a big circular shield for you.
That is a big circular shield.
And there's another big circular shield. Less circular, but
All
very
the ones which
impressive.
can act secondary weapons.
Then there is the tower shield.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of our shields. Those too unwieldy to me.
A heavy shield, a medium shield, or a light shield.
What do you mean? It's like... Oh, actually,
Any which way you wouldn't go a heavy shield?
yeah, maybe I will go heavy shield.
Well, the normal heavy shield gives you a +2 bonus before anything else comes into it.
Yeah, right.
Whereas the light shield can be used as a thrown weapon.
Yeah. No, I'm not necessarily trying to make a Captain America style paladin.
But it is there for those who wish to. So I've done a lot of the martial weapons that are two-handed ranged shields and magical implements that can be enhanced with weapon mastery. Slowly working backwards but trying to catch up on other things.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff there that can be utilized. So that he can provide you a heavy shield which does +2.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so Jeremy, does Dimitri have any particular items he would really love to have?
Well, honestly, when it comes to magical items type stuff, a bit like Jack Dimmer, he doesn't technically actually have a magical item in his preferred weapon. But that would not necessarily be the sorts of things that Dimitri is specifically looking for anyway. Because, hey, if it comes down to something that needs magic hit, he's got that option available to him.
Mm-hmm.
So he would probably be more looking for improved knowledge and information that as part of his setting up of Quaxquattle, his tower, and information on, like, for example, on the what's his name, Zeligar, who's now acting as his seneschal in the tower, and or the Ulnaga, the Bright Dragon he's now got living nearby that he wants to make good friends with, and coming around, having the opportunity to travel around with him, because hey, I'm sure Bright Dragon will make even Lugen jealous. But yeah, so he's probably more interested in some of those sort of downtime activities, and I guess part of that, or potentially the knowledge of Quaxquattle Tower will be practice with the teleportation circle that's at the top of the tower and things like that, sort of bits and pieces. But I mean, I'm also thinking a lot of information can come from Zeligar, assuming Zeligar's trustworthy and willing to provide his knowledge.
Well, he hasn't betrayed you yet.
No, that's right.
You can always just give him time.
Yeah, well, let's face it, it works both ways.
It does. Okay, so Rheddrians also said he has allocated to each of you 100,000 gold to go towards expanding your domain and gaining some followers to assist you in the coming war.
Is that in addition to the 23,000?
That is in addition to that. Because the 23,000 was personal gold, whereas the 100,000 was meant to help you start setting up your own fiefdoms.
Most of which we also got to do a head start on from the because having done the appropriate services for various kings and lordlings around the area. So, but you probably pocket half that gold. Or spend it on getting a better fiefdom or better followers.
Mm-hmm.
So could I'm trying to tweak what I've requested from Rheddrian, and that would be, is there a way to enhance the bonus on knowledge checks from +1 to more?
Is this from your Rheddrian staff?
Yeah.
That only provides it on technology. So knowledge checks regarding technology only.
Right.
But yeah, and the answer to the question is probably yes, but it involves you effectively awakening the staff, not just attuning to it.
How do I awaken it?
That is unknown to him.
He just made the thing.
But it's his staff.
Again, he understands commerce far more than he understands magic.
Okay.
And of course, with ways throwing gold around, I think he understands commerce properly. He's good in the entire economy in the world. But yeah, Martin, if you have a look at some of the descriptions that Martin provided for artifacts generally on his website, you'll find that most of them have a attunement property and then an awakened property and sometimes multiple levels of awakened. Yeah,
And that's what I'm trying to get access to.
How you awaken stuff.
Yeah.
It depends, every artifact is different.
And if Rheddrian can't tell me, I don't know who can.
Well, I mean, certainly one way that would, particularly look at other artifacts and think about how they've been done. If you ask Dimitri, he'll explain it all to you perfectly.
Yeah.
But basically talking about the fact that commonly for the god's artifacts is they get awakened by using the artifact in a manner of specifically representing the god's ideals or in specific opposition to the god's opponents. So in the sense of, like, Dimitri managed to awaken Yem's diamond when he used it to blast out a avatar or servant of
Entropy.
when we were down in Hollywood.
So what would be Rheddrian's counterweight?
Well, Rheddrian is a very new god, so he hasn't necessarily got enemies at the moment, because part of what he's been doing is specifically avoiding, trying to be avoiding gravity notice.
Also doesn't help that the other gods have the inability to perceive or hear his name.
Okay.
So it's one of the problems you've got with Rheddrian staff is that there's a lot less legends about it to understand what it can do or what it can't do, because it just hasn't been around long enough. And as I said, those that know or that might pass on knowledge don't actually, or those that expect to know, don't actually know. So I guess if you consider that he's got no specific enemies at the moment, it's the idea of, hey, what can you do to definitely advance the ideals of Rheddrian? Which technically you have been doing at this stage. So,
Yeah.
but whether or not he's saying, hey, there's actually one particular thing or action you can undertake that will definitely do the job. But yes, he can't tell you because he doesn't know enough about how he actually, the process to actually create it.
And he's never awakened, and he hasn't awakened the staff yet.
And none of the other staff to be handed out have been awakened.
Okay.
But obviously, it'll take more than just using it to contact it, ring home every once a week to actually activate the staff or awaken it. Possibly, using some of its other powers and capabilities.
Well, I might have to do that. So burning hands, fireball, or wall of fire. So I might have to stretch
or
its
that wind
limits.
wall that you're uncertain about.
And the wind wall, yeah.
Okay, so
that's one of the things you can do is using the item. Obviously, gives a much greater chance of actually, even accidentally, awakening the item. Of course,
Yeah.
it also gives the increased chance of getting side effects that are less advantageous. But again, that's the problem with dealing with artifacts. You never know what you're going to get. Like a box of chocolates.
Yeah.
So he suggests that you each get 7 followers. You choose between basic, skilled, and expert, where basic costs you 500 gold, skilled costs you 2,000, and expert costs you 5,000.
Okay.
That was certainly something I was going to ask you, Martin, that basically having come off from last my sessions as well. Are you using, have you got a source book for followers in this system?
Yep, the level up book itself
I took a look
has...
in the DMG, there wasn't anything in that. But
The level up book itself has
Level up?
everything about it, yeah.
7 by followers.
So basic, skilled, and expert.
Basic was 500, you
500.
said?
Yep, 500 gold, skilled was 2,000, and expert was 5,000. So basic, never adventured. Skilled, may have gone on some adventures. Expert, probably retired from adventuring, but coming back to help you.
2,000 and expert 5,000.
So you could quite easily spend 35,000 on 7 expert followers.
That's what I'm going to do.
Unless, of course, you've got to spend some money on upgrading or developing your fiefdom. But just as a random option, Martin, would a certain brass dragon count as a potential follower in that sort of sense?
He can, yes.
Presumably an expert one.
Probably more skilled because he's not that old.
Okay. That's right. Hey, I really just want to do what I'm on, so it doesn't really matter. It's nothing like the need to be considered at the prestige of riding on a dragon at all.
And then the next thing he shows up, the dragon's on his shoulders riding him. It's like, that's not what I asked for.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm happy to have a couple of fairy dragons as well.
So does Parity have any idea what sort of stronghold he would like to set up to start rallying people to his cause to?
mute still?
He's not on mute at the moment. Do we still have a Dominic there? Haven't heard anything from you yet, Dominic. Checking to see if we're getting text message.
I'm not seeing anything in chat at the moment, I don't think.
Yeah, he's got a sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
I think something may have happened to his headset again. He'll pipe up when he gets it working again.
Yeah. So where was Cullen? Oh, he was based in Karameikos as well, wasn't he? In the town
In Darrakan City. So I'm happy to have a castle just outside Darrakan City.
Didn't you end up with
In Karameikos, you've got...
in Karameikos with your newfound plan of the...
Oblation. Yeah.
He's got one somewhere near in Rheddrians Woods. And I believe...
nothing wrong with organising a nice apartment or house or something like that in Darrakan as well.
And we have Dominic back again.
Oh yeah, you can hear me now?
We can.
Yep.
I don't even know what happened there. Anyway, okay, so when you ask we have a stronghold, do you mean, like, is this in reference to the followers?
It is, and also a reference to what sort of home Parative wants for himself.
Gotcha, okay. Alright, well, I was going to get 1 expert, 2 skilled, and 4 basic followers. And I guess in terms of like a functional base, I mean, you know, some sort of actual defendable position. I mean, I don't know how much it's going to take to build some sort of like some sort of fort. You know, I guess probably needs to be made out of wood or something initially.
Depends. Is he the sort of person who would want a mountain sort of stronghold or a woodland sort of stronghold?
Probably. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Well, I mean, because he's like a, you know, from the north. He's kind of, you know, like he's got a background coming from the mountains and from the cold, but I imagine that building up there is extremely expensive, trying to drag materials up there and whatnot.
Cheaper if you build out of stone when you're on the mountains.
Oh, that's true. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's what I'd attempt to go with. Yeah, some sort of mountain stronghold. And I still have the vast majority of that 100,000 left to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going for a mountain stronghold, staffed by kobolds?
Probably a different set of mountains if at all possible.
You would most likely between the kingdom of Alfheim and the country of Karameikos would be where you'd end up having your stronghold.
Okay.
Which would be in this region here. Let me see if I got it there. Yeah, in that region there.
Okay. So between Karameikos and where else?
And Kingdom of Alfheim, which is above it.
No, in terms of that, in terms of the kobold stuff, I've written in my notes here. Search out kobolds and ask them about the sword, and I had to replace it not long afterwards with avoid kobolds at all costs.
Hey, they may know some extra words to unlock powers of your sword.
I think I just need to think about how I'm going to very diplomatically talk to any kobolds I encounter from now on.
And you might even be able to rally them to help you.
Yeah.
You can diplomatically talk to any kobold, just look into my sword.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. Well, I mean, because he's like a, you know, from the north, he is kind of, you know, like he's got a background coming from the I see about trying to convince them that I'm the Shining One returned. Well, that sort of deception doesn't seem like the kind of thing that my character would do, but we'll see.
Well, you don't actually have to deceive to do that.
Uh,
Just set yourself on fire.
or it's not deception if you really believe.
Gotcha.
Okay, so next session your characters will be 11th level.
Right.
So what I'm going to ask Martin here is, your character, which element did you focus on for your character?
Where would that be?
So you had an elemental attunement for your character, which represents what element your character is most aligned to.
Because certainly, each of the races of the world have an element they're most commonly aligned to, not necessarily all representatives of that automatically valid team, but particularly since you're a somewhat unique elf, a unique Kalahari elf, you've probably got always got one to choose from your element.
Well, I would have said fire.
Fire is perfectly fine. And would your character want to expand your connection to fire as you gained character tiers?
Yes.
Okay. So now Jeremy, what does he have Dimitri associated with?
Well, Dimitri is certainly being Gondaran, he's fire as his base, and always has been.
And would he expand that with each tier?
Well, I guess the question is that technically it is because he's going into the third tier now. Does that mean he technically had this is his second opportunity to
Advance it.
Advance elements?
Yes.
Okay. In that case then, first time he definitely would have advanced fire, because he probably hadn't actually recognised enough about trying to opportunity to actually differentiate or expand his opportunities.
It is more of an Alphatian thing to take on more than one element, and it's more of the Gnome World region to expand a single element.
Okay.
Just the core of the beliefs of how they do it, but it doesn't mean that you're required to do so.
Yeah. Well, whilst he has studied at Galantry, which would imply single element focus, particularly against a post-roll fascia, he's not entirely certain at the moment whether Galantry is actually on the right side at the moment. So he's probably actually he'd be willing to go his own way and be looking at another element of focus.
So he does have the choice of earth, air, or darkness. He cannot take water at this stage.
Oh, sorry. I think, hang on. Then I realised I was looking at Dracula's characteristics. Earth, air, or darkness. He would probably go. Let's go Earth, on the idea that he was feeling that he had the connection with Gallagher Staff of Stone for a while, that he couldn't necessarily use very well. So he wasn't happy at something that was he wasn't perfect at. So that's something to be improved.
That does work.
So he'll go down the Earth halfway. Great understanding.
Okay, so Dominic, having heard from the others, what you have is your character is generally aligned at first level with one of 5 main elements of the world, and each element represents one of the gods' domains, which they call spheres. So, does he have an element he would most align with?
Was there a So, like, what are the elements like earth, fire?
So you have fire, which is associated with energy. You have water, which is associated with time. You have air, which is associated with thought. You have earth, which is associated with matter. And you have darkness, which is associated with entropy.
Okay. Earth, I think.
Earth is a good starting point. And would he advance his knowledge and skills with earth as he gains tiers?
Yeah, like unless there's other domains that will open up, like other elements or whatever. I think I'll just stick with Earth.
Because basically, those who stick to a single domain have a lot of power with that domain. Those who diversify end up with a lot of balance, but not a lot of power.
Gotcha. Yeah,
so
right.
that's the main difference between specializing and diversifying.
Okay.
And you can have complementing abilities when you take the right element mix.
Yeah, right. With the water domain, does that sort of cross over with, like, ice?
So when you have the fire sphere, which is also considered as fire and radiant, you have the earth, which is considered poison and acid. You have water, which is considered cold and force. You have air, which is thunder and lightning, and you have dark, which is necrotic and psychic.
Actually, jeez, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not so sure about Earth. Because I don't necessarily like the idea of poison and acid, whereas I do like thunder and lightning and cold.
I'm happy to say air is instead, which does fit the thunder and lightning.
Yeah. I'm tempted to go with air then. So what do the other two have?
The other two have, one has fire, the same as you have air. The other one has fire to a lesser extent, and earth as well.
Okay.
And you're fire,
I believe he is Haldanic. Which is associated with air, which is the Norse people.
Yeah, I think I'll do air. Yep.
Air is certainly common, would be the most common for you for at least your initial tier. And there's probably no real reason for you to branch out, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, the only reason that I would do it is, is to go into water, because I think that the cold is complementary as well. But I'm pretty happy to stick with full air.
Well, you've got to remember also that because you're not really a magic using character, it's really the greatest impact on your elemental affinity is going to be how certain magic items interact with you.
Okay.
What your some spells will have greater or lesser effect upon you.
Yeah, right.
Affinity. But you're so you're not really actually going to be automatically improving stuff yourself.
Gotcha.
Well, once you go past the affinity and into each level beyond that, you do get powers.
Okay.
Even more reason you're going to be teaching the same thing. So.
Yeah, alright, I'll just stick with air.
Okay, so as it's getting close on to 10 o'clock and we are tying up the story for the game year, people will be rolling over to level 11 next session with the start of the year and hostilities between all the different armies.
One question mark before we go away. In Dimitri's case, he's going to go to level 8 wizard, and so therefore gets the attribute and attribute increase and feat at the time. Obviously, so you say it's always +2, irrespective of what number you actually add, is that correct?
I'm in the middle of cleaning that up. I'll send you some details on that.
Okay. Because the other question is, I'm assuming that with Dimitri's current intelligence score of 22, thanks to the god's bonus, he can't improve that himself any further.
You generally can't improve it beyond
Beyond 20, like you say, you normally couldn't improve it beyond 20. So I just want to double check that yes, he can't put his stat increase into intelligence.
He can't.
Happy with that.
But once he gets over 20th level, he can then increase some of it to a small extent.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did figure it was not going to advance on hey, but I'm going to check if I can. The big dude always wants to be farmer.
Okay, well,
All good.
thank you all for making it.
Thank you very much.
Nice. Thanks for running it.
And next session you will find what the war really means.
It means the time go right in my hole and avoid everything for the next 5 years. Okay then. Thanks very much all.
Adios.
Have a good evening.
Good night, guys.
Hello.
And we'll catch you next week or the week after.
See you next
Bye now.
session.